So let me go through these 4 stages in more detail. The first stage is the business development stage. This is when you receive the RFP and you call Vico that you only have 3 weeks or 4 weeks maybe, that's a generous owner, to complete a presentation that will show the owner your approach to the project, will clearly explain the cost and schedule risks, will present your team as the most expert team in the area for delivering that project, will show that the project type that the owner is asking for is something that you have expertise in. So it's a really big pressure, and that's when you get together the war room and start discussing the strategy. What Vico will do is we'll take sketches or drawings that are available about the project, and with a quick turnaround in our off-site virtual construction team, build a model that will link to a database for a high-level takeoff, or a high-level quantity takeoff, a zone-based takeoff of all the areas, and we integrate that with a schedule that will show you how the building, or show the owner how the building will be built. So we basically go through a mini 5D process during the course of that 3 weeks and generate all the materials that you need for the presentation at the interview. We will also generate a document that will describe in a narrative the suggested approach, the suggested BIM strategy on the project. And this BIM strategy document does not only address how you will set up coordination protocols and coordination priorities for the design team or the construction team. It will also describe how you will use the model information for communicating cost and schedule to the owner on a regular basis, and what kind of processes and workflows you need to put in place and monitor in order to go through successfully that implementation. The second phase is when you win the deal, you win the project, and we start working with you and the design team, and if you have subcontractors on board, then with the design assist subcontractors, on defining cost targets, defining schedule targets, and create a 5D model during the design development stage of the design process. This is where we set up protocols. This is where we set up a workflow for you that will help you optimize the flow of data, starting with the design team, the contractors team, and the design assist subs, and will help you resolve constructability issues that you want to make sure don't stay in the drawings when you actually start construction. We will help you create a protocol for tracking those constructability issues with tools that we have developed within our services organization. We'll set up a knowledge base that will serve the purpose of capturing cost and time for the project and help you generate accurate quantities for cost estimates. Those quantities will be used in a location-based scheduling system to create a first pass of a schedule that's based on actual calculated information. If you don't have all the design elements at this stage captured in the model, that really it's not a problem, because the knowledge base and the schedule can account for anything that's not modeled. The important aspect of this process is that you capture all the assumptions early on so that you can always look back and compare the change in schedule and cost to your earlier assumptions and communicate those changes to the client in a timely manner. So comparing against targets is really important. The next phase is when we get to the completion of the design documents. And in order to get to this stage, we want to make sure that all the changes that took place during the design development phase have been updated and are captured in the model and in the documents. So in order to make sure that these changes are captured, we have a tool called Change Manager that will report all the changes in the drawings as they become available. And that will help us and help the team update all the deliverables based on all the changes to the documents. We will update the model and we will start adding in more and more detail to that model. For example, you can see this image on the right. This is an image of a virtual mock-up that we created on a hospital project for St. Joseph, another owner in the Southern California region. We created a very detailed model of all the skin components, and that enabled the team to discover and resolve constructability issues of the skin before the manufacturing process started for the metal panels that covered this exoskeleton of the building. The earlier you start this higher level detail model for various trades, the more time you have to resolve these constructability issues. So we recommend to start coordinating MEP at a higher level or coordinating skin details at a higher level at a very early stage, right after design development, the design development stage is over. Even if you don't have some of the subcontractors on board, it will help you reduce the time needed for coordination. And once the subcontractor for the skin, for example, is bought out and is part of the project team, their shop drawing process can be accelerated by having a detailed model available to them. So potentially, the detail that you develop will help the subcontractor, which will help reduce their risk and negotiate a better deal with them. And that goes back to cost savings, not just using BIM for conflict avoidance, but also cost savings in terms of reducing risk and subcontractor contingency fees. At this point, we're updating the model on a continuous basis using this dedicated offsite 5D team, which basically gets fed with the most up-to-date current documents. This team, this offsite 5D team, is managed by an on-site 5D manager. And that 5D manager can work together with you in the trailer, can work together with the design team and the contractor's team in one big room, the one-room concept. This 5D manager will help establish coordination protocols and implement and facilitate meetings that will help the project move forward. You probably would like to have a flat screen in the trailer so that you can always look at the latest version of the model, and the project team can always just bring it up, spin it around, and discuss the next actions. We can also work with specialty contractors such as ISET. In Southern California, it is really important to make sure that the hangers and braces are seismically engineered. We partnered with ISET to make sure that these processes, seismic engineering, for example, happens earlier than it happens currently, so that costly redesign and reapproval by OSHPD is avoided. The on-site 5D manager will also update the quantities from the model on a regular basis and provide those quantities to the contractor's estimating team to price the project with higher confidence or negotiate with subs about scope with more accurate information available. And finally, we help you optimize the schedule and work with the subcontractors and the superintendent and the contractor on the job to capture assumptions for productivity rates and capture assumptions for crew sizes during the pre-construction phase. And once we get to the construction phase, that's when we would start tracking the production on site using the same dedicated off-site team. We can keep the model up to date. If there are any field changes, we can implement those changes as they happen, which will enable you to create and end up with an as-built model, an as-built virtual construction model at the end of the construction phase. So instead of trying to catch up with the as-built at the end of the construction phase, by having the model continuously updated during production, we will automatically get an as-built model at the end. The on-site 5D manager who works with you in the trailer can help you track production with your superintendent and with your PE. We can also teach you how to generate lift drawings if you self-perform concrete, for example, using this model, dramatically reducing the time needed to update changes if an embed or equipment is moved around on site. And finally, we can integrate this model with field layouting tools such as a Trimble laser theodolite total station, where you can just export all the points from the model and then have the crews on site shoot the points using the laser total station and lay out the project faster, more accurately than before. When we work on site with you and track production, we can also help you forecast delays and forecast the impact of delays if they occur outside of your control. Using the flow line view in control in our scheduling product, you'll be able to visually forecast where problems are going to occur and how delays will impact other crews. It will also enable you to provide an update to the owner instead of on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. And owners love that because they will have a weekly report from you that will show the actual status of the project. And most of the contractors we talk to first are a little bit concerned about the level of effort and the level of detail that should go into these weekly reports, as opposed to a monthly report that you would generate with the traditional tools. However, using our processes and using the tools that we provide, the weekly update becomes really easy because everything is integrated. The model, the quantities, production rate, the forecasting, and the capturing actuals is all integrated into one tool. That provides you with a framework that you can use to update your construction status report on a weekly basis as opposed to on a monthly basis.